So after about a year, I was gaining all this knowledge, and I decided to do a course, kind of a lecture at one of the local hotels. So I've given a lot of interviews through a lot of the local TV stations on plastic surgery procedures, anti-aging, med spa. And there's one anchor that I kind of knew, and I called her. I said, "Hey, Michelle, can you do a little story? I'm going to be doing this lecture and put on TV about what I'm doing, all the natural things and so forth." So she did it. We thought we were going to get about 50 people there. And, we're kind of waiting. We have 50 chairs out there. All of a sudden, there's like 125 people in this room. And we're pulling chairs from all the other, from the restaurant and everything else. It was kind of interesting. So I gave this lecture. I had it planned to go for about an hour, but it ended up, I don't know how I stretched this thing out to 2 hours. People were asking me a lot of questions in the middle of the lecture. When I was done, I had a standing ovation. And I've never had a standing ovation in my life. I don't know if it was because they felt sorry for me because I had cancer, or they really thought the lecture was good. I personally think the reason was there were a lot of cancer patients out there. And I think a lot of them just thought they were resigned to the chemo, to the surgery, the radiation, and there wasn't anything they could do on their own. And I remember one lady specifically, and there were a few others that came up to me after the lecture, and she had myeloma like I did. And she said that afterward, and she was definitely obese, she asked her doctor, "Hey, should I change my diet?" And he said, "Oh, no, just keep eating the way you eat. You'll do just fine." And she told me, she goes, "I just knew that wasn't right. That just didn't ring well with me." And I had other patients, the same thing. The doctors just said, "Hey, keep doing what you're doing. Just take the chemo and you'll be fine." So what I did then, I started a website called naturalinsightsintocancer.com. I started an Instagram site. It's called Cancer Veggie Doc. And then I would have seminars every month in my med spa, and I would invite different speakers. They would mainly talk about plant-based eating. I did that for quite a while until COVID hit. But while I was doing that, people kept asking me, "Hey, you know so much, you should write a book." So it was Memorial Day, 2019. Every morning I woke up, I wrote for about an hour. I did research in between. I had the book done by Labor Day, and I had it on Amazon first week of November. And then I had a book launching the second week of November. So that's kind of how the whole thing got started. And now I do, through my website, I do everything virtually. I do 1 or 2 hour consultations. I have a lot of different lab testing through Quest Labs, through Doctors Data, Great Plains Laboratories. And all those are done with Quest. There's Quest everywhere. Those are done through blood, but through Doctors Data, we do microbiome testing. And Great Plains, it's either a dried spot, urine, or hair analysis. So everything I do is virtually. And then I do 24/7 coaching. I give them a food journal with exercise place in there. And I do charge for it. It's like $20 a month. I used to not charge for it, but patients always felt like they were bothering me. So I started this thing, 24/7 text, email availability. I mean, you can text me 2 a.m. if you want. But that's been great. I get text messages every day. I just had a woman yesterday. She sent me her lab work. She was scared about something about it. And that's worked out really well. Just to really keep in contact with them. They fill out their food journal every week. I see what they're intaking, how much they're exercising. And I think that's really important to have that access to the doctor. So it's been rewarding. I mean, I've helped hundreds of people with cancer, and it's actually been one of the most rewarding parts of my career. I had a great plastic surgery med spa anti-aging center, but this has been a lot more rewarding to me.
I could tell you why they gave you a standing ovation. It's because so many patients that deal with chronic incurable diseases, they are just seeking someone to give them hope, someone to empower them, saying, "You can get through this." And when they hear that, it's just, it's a shining light to them. So I understand if you have people listening with cancer and we're told there's nothing you could do, like that woman who came to you, that diet doesn't matter. I mean,
Oh, it's
ridiculous
like, I
claim,
mean,
but
it's,
um,
well, what most people don't realize, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but in medical school, I mean, we basically get about, I would say it's about 12 hours of nutrition. And it's really, it's almost like a junior high school health class. I mean,
right.
it's like, okay, if you don't get enough vitamin C, you're going to get scurvy. If you don't get B1, you're going to get beriberi or D, rickets. I mean, it's almost absurd, to be quite frank with you. And one statistic I just read: most cardiologists die of what? Cardiovascular event. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy how physicians really don't understand nutrition. It's really extremely sad.
It's very sad, but you have people such as yourself and so many others now shining a light onto things.